3-day event horses down here in Ocala, Florida. We've been in Florida for probably 20 years. And I've been honestly really fortunate. I've had some great horses over the years, been to some great places. I've gotten to ride on Nations Cup teams. I got selected for a Pan American Games one time. But the best thing that I get to do is obviously get up every day and ride and train the horses. And I have a lot of students here in Florida that go out and compete all over the place. Event horses, train them, and then as Dorian was saying, the other thing that I've just started doing is we felt there was kind of a friend of mine and myself felt there was a kind of a need for some sort of a fun show that it was specific to eventing. And so we started the John and Rick show. We actually just had our first show out about a week and a half ago, and the next one comes out actually this Thursday. And it actually has taken off with some pretty big success. And I think it's going to be a pretty big deal. So we're really excited about that as well.
Hey, John, hang on one second. I'm going to mute everybody, and then you're going to need to unmute yourself. So here we go. And all right, unmute yourself, John.
I am unmuted. Can you hear me all right?
Danny, yes, sir. Just that way we get all the rest of the background noise out of the way. So how many horses do you have? How many do you train? How often do you train?
Yeah, so we've got a 57-acre piece of property here in Florida and in Ocala, and we've got 30 stalls, which means we usually have somewhere around 35 to 40 horses. That seems to be the way it works. We build another stall and 2 more horses show up. So we do that. I usually, on a daily basis, I'm usually riding my competition horses in the first half of the day until about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then I train, probably 10 to 12 clients, depending on whether we're jumping or doing dressage work in the afternoons. And we travel within the U.S. all over the East Coast as far this year. I'm going to be going up in June up to Montreal for a big 3-day event up there. And, I've gone as far west as California out to Galway Downs, which was a really good trip as well. So we're all over the place. We're pretty well represented.
Very cool. And so are you going to be at Rolex this year?
This year, I don't have a horse for Kentucky, unfortunately. That horse will be going up to Bromont instead. But I will be there. You can't miss that one. It's a pretty great competition. And I would say I probably should have a horse, maybe 2 there next season, which would be nice.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll have a big contingent of Summit people up there acting like fools because we got a couple.
Perfect.
Sponsors.
Good job.
Yeah, we have a couple sponsors. I think Marilyn Little's going to be there, and Leah Langusnik, and I can never pronounce her last name. Sorry.
Leah Langusnik. Yeah, Leah rode with me for a long time. Actually, she's a nice girl, and I heard she's part of the team now. That's exciting.
She is. It's very cool. So how did you hear about Summit? I mean, how did all this come about?
Yeah, so I have a friend who owns a horse with me, and she actually was telling me she had an older horse that was struggling just to sort of have a good quality of life. And so I don't know how she heard about the product, but she heard about it and called me up and was telling me all about it, and I think basically wanted me to try her horse on it. And I wouldn't say I was reluctant, but I'm always skeptical of new things. So I told her I'd give it a try. And I'm sure it goes like a lot of the stories you guys hear. I'm just starting to get to know the company and the product. But I went ahead, I put 2 of my horses on it, and one of them was a young thoroughbred, and one of them was one of my older advanced horses. And I have to say, I went into it skeptical, and 18 hours after I gave the injection, so the next afternoon, I got on my thoroughbred horse who, he's a nice little horse, but he's just sort of learning the ropes, and he was so much better. It was undeniable, the difference that he had on Summit. And, I'd love to say, I would have loved to have said it was a coincidence, but it was just too obvious that he was more comfortable in his back. I was able to sit into him and ride him, and it just made such a difference. The second horse, the little bit older horse, he by the second dose, the second week, I absolutely noticed a huge difference in him as well. And so I went ahead and I just put all of my horses on the product. At that point, I just thought it was too obvious to me that it was working and doing great things. So they've been on it now for about 5 weeks, and I have to say, some of them feel more significant than others, but it's all of them are doing really well on it. So I couldn't be happier.
I mean, one of the things that we hear a lot when we talk to new people and we talk to people that have been using our product for a while is, there's a lot of other joint supplements out there. I mean, we all know the names. There's a lot of big multi-billion-dollar companies that own these other products, and they always say, well, my horse is on this, my horse is on that, but I didn't really notice a difference. And that's the one thing that we hear a lot, is that when people say, I never noticed a difference, and then when I put them on Summit and it was amazing. I mean, it was funny when we first started this, I would get phone calls all the time. And the first words out of people's mouths was, you won't believe how good my horse was. You won't believe how good my dog was. And I would just smile, because I mean, I know that most times, not all the times, we don't fix everything, but most times I always know, what's going to happen. And so it's cool to hear. It's always still cool to hear it from other people, how undeniable sometimes the difference is.
Well, and I'll tell you what, for me, Dorian, it makes it so easy, when I tell people about it, it's so easy to sell it, because I don't actually have to sell it. I just tell them what my experience was with it and how it's helped my horses. It's been an easy, I don't know how to say it. It's been a very easy thing to get involved with Summit, because obviously I know horses, I know how to train horses. And as you said, I've used products out there, guilt-like. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry, we lost your internet there, friend. Yeah.
Okay. So what I was saying was, I know horses and I know how to train them. I've used all of the other products like we were talking about over the years. And sometimes I think you almost use them out of guilt, like thinking, well, everybody's using it, it must work, but I don't feel a difference. And when I've called my friends, I've just sort of started getting going on trying to call some of my friends and peers in the business and tell them this stuff is for real. And it's so easy to do, because I know it works. And that makes, when it's a product, it's like selling a horse. You can never sell the horse you want to sell. You always sell the horse you don't want to sell, because you believe in that horse. And it's the same thing with Summit. It's easy to sell because I know it works, and it's simple.
When you were first looking at it, did you know about our other sponsored riders? I mean, did you know about the Maryland Littles and the McLean Wards and stuff like that? I just out of curiosity.
I did. I knew McLean was on it. I actually didn't know Maryland was, but I knew McLean was. I went on the website. I looked up who was using it. And for me, because it was primarily jumper people that were on it that I saw on the website, as I was glancing quickly, I didn't know them. I didn't know if that, obviously I know McLean. I knew a few of the others on there, but I don't know them personally. So I assumed if they say that it's good, it was probably good. But honestly, that bit was probably no more powerful than the phone call I got from my friend who was an owner who had the older horse that I knew her. I could trust her 100% and knew that was for real. And then seeing all these other guys who were sponsored riders on it just sort of clinched the deal for me, that I was like, well, if they're doing it, they're performing at the top, it must be good. But I'd say that was equally as powerful to me as hearing the story about the person next door that I knew that had firsthand experience with it that I knew.
Well, that's funny, because that is exactly what we tell people. We tell them, tell your stories. And then if they need more, go have them look at the other people that are on it. These people that are going to the Olympics, the people that are going to the World Cup. I mean, you know who McLean is. Most people know who McLean is. They know that McLean's not going to stick something in his $10 million horse that he doesn't completely believe in, and so that's
right.
What we do the sponsored rider things, is for the legitimacy. But the biggest thing for us is always for people just to tell their stories, just like you just did a few minutes ago. I mean, you tell that story to people, and that brings them into it just like it did you. So perfect answer. That was
Yeah, I mean, it's been, like I said, I've called 7 people that I respect and think will be happy with the product and maybe take it and do something more with it. And all 7 people have said, I want to give it a try. So it's been good that way.
awesome. Awesome. Well, Jon, listen, thank you so much for coming, and I can't wait to partner more with you. And this is the first time we've actually ever met. I know you've been dealing with Elisa and with Chamonix. So, hi, nice to meet you. We talked
Nice
on
to meet you.
seconds, but I look forward to doing a lot more as this year and the next few years progress. And hopefully we can help you build your business, and you'll help us build ours as well. So, congrats.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be a part of the team.